Hey, Catalyst. Have you ever had one of those days where somebody cuts you off in traffic or somebody says a comment, and instead of reacting, you just shrug your shoulders and you move on? You don't plug into the drama, you just let it roll off your back. That's in contrast to other days where even just the slightest discomfort is like a pebble in your shoe and it just grinds you down until you are so annoyed that the slightest breeze makes you feel overwhelmed and you want to throw everything in the air and say, I quit. I get that. It's human nature. Ironically, our overwhelm, our stress, our burnout, sometimes the call is coming from inside the house. And in this episode, you're going to learn from a session I had with one of my Catalyst mentees about how together we were able to craft a menu to help her regain her balance so that when things went awry or sideways, she was able to show up as her most grounded and balanced self and get right back into flow quicker than ever. So stick around. You're going to learn some actionable takeaways. And disclaimer, this episode is AI enhanced, and I think it's for a good reason. You'll see why. Welcome to The Catalyst Way, the podcast for women clinicians ready to clear the chaos and create space to flourish. I'm Dr. Lara Salyer, a former burned out family practice doctor turned mentor, author, and professional calendar whisperer. I help women in medicine reclaim time, trust their intuition, and build practices that actually fit their lives. Each week, you'll get practical tools, creative strategies, and tiny shifts that help you color outside the lines and paint a work-life masterpiece of authentic, aligned joy. Okay, this episode is inspired by a Catalyst mentee session. Of course, I'm changing all the details. I don't say their names. This is very private. All the one-on-one sessions are so sacred to me. It's an opportunity to meet another fabulous femme in medicine. And together we're like this girl gang that's just unpacking the woes of being a woman in medicine and creating a better future for us all. So I keep all these notes in a very detailed mentorship log for each of my catalysts. And I went back into her session and reflected on the gems that were shared. And I thought it was worthy enough to create a whole podcast episode around it because I know she's not alone. We all have these elements that skirt the edges of burnout. Remember, burnout is not industry specific. It's not even job specific. You can have elements of burnout in relationships, in parenting, in all sorts of ways. Burnout is grief in the brain. And while we've normalized grief, we have not normalized burnout. And that is what this podcast is about, is helping you pedal through and move through yourself as you transform around burnout and come out the other side more of a flourishing human being. So in her session, she noticed that she was seeing patients. She was feeling like she was making somewhat of a difference, but yet she felt overwhelmed. She had all these other things she wanted to do to build into her business, to grow and scale, and they just weren't getting accomplished. She just didn't feel right in her body. She didn't feel grounded or centered. She noticed she was abandoning herself. Her self-care practices were starting to go off the radar. And then that affected the way she looked at her life. She felt like an imposter. If she couldn't walk the walk, how could she be instructing patients to prioritize their nutrition, their sleep, their nature? And she started to feel this spiral. What she was exhibiting is one of the key signs of burnout, which is feeling like you have low achievement, whether it is work, life, relationship, all the above. If you feel like you're not making a difference or moving along a certain timeline, even though it's unspoken in your head, you can start to embody this and make it feel bigger than what it needs to be. It starts to creep and metastasize into every aspect of your life. So if you feel like you're not making a difference, for example, in your marathon training, and then you go to work, even if your patients are happy, you're creating more revenue than ever, you can still feel this powerlessness. So it's important for us to continue creating more options and opportunities for autonomy and for progression, not because we are rooted in this American hustle culture. In fact, we talk a lot about that in the Catalyst, that This puritanical American society would love us to be hyper productive. It would love us to continue the grind. And this is not what Catalyst is about. The Catalyst Way services is about small, tiny things you can put in place in strategic ways to have great impact and then go live your life with time, freedom, and autonomy. Quick pause. If you're loving this podcast and secretly dreaming about building a functional or integrative practice that doesn't burn you out, you're my person. Catalyst Studio is the 12-month mentorship for women clinicians who want to build or scale a membership style practice. We mix practical business strategy with creativity and flow so that you can build a thriving practice that actually fits your life. Come join us. It is the mentorship I wish I had had. You'll find all the information at drlarasalyer.com/catalyst. Here are some signs that you might benefit from a flow menu. Number 1, you feel constantly busy, but feel like you've accomplished nothing. Number 2, you're flooded with micro stressors that make you mad or irritate you or make you sad or depressed, and then you don't even know where to begin. Number 3, you don't even have a system of to-dos. You just sort of write things down or try to remember them or type it in your phone or add it to your calendar. There's really nothing that you're pulling from. You just react to your day. Now, these are signs that you should make a flow menu. Now, before we get to the flow menu, I'm going to give you a piece of advice that I gave my mentee. When you have a to-do list, it's so important to have one place for it to rest. And try out different variations. You might be a paper girl, you might be a Post-it girl, you might be a digital girl, whatever it is. There's many apps, the Todoist, Google Tasks, Keep. There's so many ways to create a digital footprint, but you may start with physical. Everybody knows I love my Post-it wall. I'm able to strategically categorize my to-do list, but I also keep a to-do list on my phone for those times I'm away from my office and I have ideas that need to be remembered. So find your own dumping ground, because that itself is so curative in somebody who's feeling overwhelmed in their nervous system. They're feeling stressed. They're feeling almost like inept, that they're not doing anything. And it's because your brain is constantly trying to remember all the things you have to do. When you totally pour them out into some external resource in a container, it's like a purge. Your brain feels better, your body feels lighter, and it's visual. You can see all the things. Much like Marie Kondo, when she sparks joy in her cleaning, one of her first things she does is she takes all the pants and puts them on the bed, or all the shirts, or all the hangers. You have no idea what inventory is in your brain until you purge it all. And you're able to then clump everything together that belongs together, and it makes you feel instantly better. The second rule of time alchemy and flow management in the Catalyst services is separate execution from planning. So this discussion with my mentee, we were talking all about how she's going to change the way she views her calendar. And that's important because you can't wake up the next day and just expect to do it. You have to plan before you execute. Your brain doesn't do well when you wake up and then decide, okay, what should I plan for today? That's a lot of energy and drain on your brain. You're wasting the most precious hours of your day planning. If you plan the night before or the week before, so much easier to slip right into that flow state. So let's get to a flow menu. And I'm going to refer to my notes because, of course, I eliminated any of her details. So I went to AI, ChatGPT, or ChattyG, and asked for examples so you can understand how to create your own flow menu. This is an episode you might want to save and return to later. But if you're available, I would say grab a piece of paper and get ready. You're going to have lots of ideas. A flow menu is a self-regulating tool because we learn the call comes from inside the house. Things that may cause us to feel dysregulated one day may not cause us to feel dysregulated the other day. Why is that? Your nervous system, it fluctuates, it changes, it adapts, and your amygdala is always trying to keep you safe. So one day, one trigger might just go completely past your amygdala because it had 8 hours of sleep. It's well nourished with high protein meals. It is off of a great weekend of play and fun, and it's feeling great. It's chilling in the back seat with the sunglasses on. But that same trigger on another day, when you're a little short on sleep, a little caffeinated, it can cause that amygdala to fire. and it blocks your ability to find that flow and ease. So this menu is both curative, but also preventative. And it's going to be a visual reminder when your brain starts to go down in lockdown mode in burnout. It's a visual reminder you can reference so you don't have to think of these things in the moment. Remember, separate planning, execution. So this is the planning part. A flow menu is basically something that will help you self-regulate through these periods of inaction or overwhelm. It helps you avoid that paralysis. And what a flow menu is you get to pick the top 5 categories that you feel are very nourishing to your soul and your heart. The common ones are things like movement, nourishment, play or creativity, thinking or mindfulness, maybe peace. All these things can be what makes you feel good. So everybody has different categories. Now, for this example, and for what I fed into AI, I chose move, nourish, play, think, and peace. These 5 were very important. Now, these are the top categories. Underneath each of those categories, you're going to have 3 subcategories, and they're going to be time dependent. So the first category is long, something that takes over an hour. The second category is medium, something that's between 15 and 30 minutes. And then the final category is short, something less than 5 minutes. Okay, now we get to the fun part. And I'm just going to read from my notes here because this is powerful. Now, when you populate the menu, you can list activities under each. And I know maybe it doesn't take exactly 15 minutes, but you can guesstimate and you're allowed to move things around. The example I gave during this mentoring session for me is in recent months, if you listen to the episode where I talk about how a Halloween costume helped me get back in flow, you'll remember that I talk about how I had abandoned a lot of my creativity in the recent months because I was really working through other things. I had put in my category, I wanted to start painting again, but that's over an hour of play. Usually I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing with paint, but it's a fun activity. And I had forgotten to populate the menu in the medium and the short subcategories. I don't have to paint as my only creative outlook. I could grab a sheet of paper and do a minimalistic line doodle or write a quick haiku or something else. And I'd completely forgotten to take a spoonful of my own medicine. So doing this activity with my beautiful catalyst, it was a fun exercise to remind me again to populate that menu. So let's go. Here's just a general example. For example, under the movement category, like a short 5-minute activity could be something like jumping jacks, like 5 jumping jacks, a stretch. A long activity would be something more like taking a walk or a bike ride for an hour, right? So you get the idea. So let's move through each category. And I want you to feel free to steal any of these. I love to share my notes. The way that I show up in the world is of service. And one of the ways that I am of service is I give you my notes. I create infographics and I give you the keys. You can edit them. You can take them and put your own logo on them. I take notes from growing and scaling my business, and then I give them to you. All of my notes, my SOPs, my terms and conditions, I help you build yours. That's just kind of how I like to be. I'm like your favorite classmate right beside you, cheering you on, but also figuring it out right there with you, and then just giving you my notes. Okay. So here you go. You ready? We're going to do the category move first. Short 5-minute activities could be something like stand and stretch your arms overhead, do some shoulder rolls, neck circles, walk to your mailbox, 10 jumping jacks, maybe calf raises while you're on hold. Okay. Medium 15 to 30-minute activities could be a dance break with 3 songs, walk around the block or a building, a yoga video on YouTube. My favorite is Yin Yoga with Cassandra, or I love Yoga with Adrienne. Rebounding on a mini trampoline, or if you're like me, I have a vibrating plate below my desk. I just turn it on and it has a 15-minute timer. Or a slow strength circuit like squats, a wall sit, push-ups. Now, if you have an hour and you're interested in moving, well, that's when you do like nature hikes, trail walks, a bike ride, a group fitness class, a deep yoga session, maybe cleaning with music blasting. See, when you start to separate these, you then back out of this mindset that I'm doing nothing for myself because you can pick from less, heavy, time intense activities and you still get a little bit of this nourishment. Speaking of nourishment, that's our next category. So, what would be considered a short nourishment menu item? Well, drink a glass of water with lemon, eat a handful of protein rich nuts, take a supplement, make a cup of tea, smell an essential oil. I have one right here. Oh, I think one of my kids borrowed it. Ha! So, I usually have some that I sniff right here if I just need to nourish my soul, right? A medium choice would be prepping a smoothie or snack, right? Taking a lunch break away from your desk, journaling about how food made you feel today, batch cook a protein for later, review the supplements that you're actually taking. Do you need them? Are they working? Can you take a break? A long way to nourish would be grocery shopping mindfully. Bonus points, put your favorite playlist on, and it's like you're in your own movie. It's awesome soundtrack. You can batch prep meals for the entire week. Take yourself out for a nourishing solo dinner. Book a consult with a nutritionist. We all can learn things too. Take a fun class in wine tasting or food prep and do a total kitchen reset to toss anything expired. Next, the category of play. Short, little inspirational things you can do in your menu to find more play. Doodle or scribble on a sticky note. Take a silly selfie. Use Snapchat some filters. They're baked right in. Hum a song you loved as a kid. Rewatch a 1-minute funny video. And yes, I do have a dopamine list on TikTok. There's about 25 videos because it takes a lot for me to put a TikTok in my dopamine list, but I keep it in case I need just a 1-minute laugh. Oh my gosh, it has been a lifesaver. Throw a ball against a wall. That can be fun. It's also kind of movement. Now, a medium dose for play in your menu could be something like painting your nails in a weird color, try a new playlist while you're working in the background, maybe do a short creative writing prompt. You can ask ChatGPT to give you an idea. Decorate your planner like it's a scrapbook. Tinker with Canva. That's my favorite, but that's also a very dangerous place for me because I can spend 5 hours in there. So that's not going to be on my list. Now, a long way to play would be like costume planning, if you listen to my last Crow Lady podcast, taking a creative workshop or class. You can definitely look in your area. Facebook events is helpful to find all these cool things popping up. Start a DIY craft or project. Pull out an old instrument, paints, or sewing. Host a themed dinner. I was thinking, with all the work of Priya Parker in her book, The Art of Gathering, she has so many great ideas to host a fun dinner. One of my ideas I thought would be fun is dress up as a character from your favorite movie as a childhood, one that influenced you and shaped your worldview. I think that'd be really great. And then have people guess, but you have to stay in character. Okay, next category, think. Humans love to grow their brain. It feels good, right? So what would be a short menu item that's less than 5 minutes? You could brain dump on sticky notes to clear your brain, right? Read one inspirational quote, ask ChatGPT a weird question and just see what it says. Solve a riddle. Listen to 3 minutes of an audiobook. Okay, what about medium? Something between 15 and 30 minutes? Well, that would be like journaling a gratitude list, reading 10 pages of a real book, do a short online training, organize one folder on your computer. Or you could write a script. You could change the emails to your patients' portals. You could look at your website copy and see if there's something that you wanted to change. That's a 15 to 30-minute little task. So what would be considered a medium 15 to 30-minute opportunity to use your brain? Well, you could journal a gratitude list. You could read 10 pages of a real book, organize your computer desktop. You could do a short online training and maybe something you're curious about. And what about a long opportunity to use your brain? Something more than an hour. Well, that's where community colleges can be fun. You can learn a language. You can do some deep work on writing, strategic planning sessions. I love those, right? Learn something new on Teachable or Substack. Perhaps map out your next patient course or offering. or host a brainstorming session with a business friend so you can have accountability. Okay, what about peace? The next category, peace. We all need some peace. So if you're feeling like you only have less than 5 minutes, 3 deep breaths, your eyes close. Remember, when you minimize your senses, your opportunity for flow raises. Your alpha brain waves are allowed to come forward. So breath work can be hugely impacting, whether it's Wim Hof, whether it's the 478 method. There's so many kinds of breath work depending on whether you need upregulation or downregulation. Put a hand on your heart and just say a mantra. Whatever comes to mind is fine. It's what your soul is speaking to you. Is it, I am at peace? I am enough? I am awake? I am grateful? All of them matter. Light a candle. Play 1 minute of rain sounds. Close your eyes for a micro nap. Okay, let's say you have 15 minutes. So what could go on your medium menu for peace? Guided meditation on Insight Timer. My favorite. I love Sarah Blondin. I love Kenneth Soares. I have so many teachers I follow. If you just find my profile on there, you can see all the people I follow. They're amazing. I really love these guided Insight Timer resets where it's 15 minutes. You know, you have a good chunk of downtime and you feel much better afterwards. You could also walk barefoot outside, especially now in Wisconsin. It's okay. Maybe not so much in February. Aromatherapy foot soak, or even just massaging your own feet with lotion. Practicing a new breathwork technique. Search on YouTube, plenty of teachers there. And watch the clouds on purpose. That's one of my favorite things. Going in my backyard with a blanket and just looking at the clouds for 15 minutes. Set a timer and then get right back. Now, if you have a long time, over an hour, take an actual nap. Sleep. That's very nourishing. Unplug for a full hour. No phone, no computer, no nothing. If you're worried about not coming back after an hour, well, maybe carry a timer in your pocket. I like these little analog ones for a reason. They're just dialing up and you don't have to have a phone tether. Maybe visit a body worker or a somatic therapist, get a deep tissue massage. Go to a float spa. I love those float tanks. Maybe a salt cave or a sauna. And attend a local sound bath, something that I've recently enjoyed in Monroe, Wisconsin. Those are incredible to reset your nervous system. These are examples. We've gone through so many, and I'm curious what you have come up with. Regulating our nervous system is important. It is worthy of daily practice. But when you feel like you haven't done anything for yourself, you continue to abandon your power and show up for patients and for your family, but never yourself. So using a menu like this in a visual space where you can pretty much plan on how much time you have to fill, you can easily reach out and do something that nourishes yourself. And what that's doing is teaching your nervous system, your soul, and your heart that you do take priority. You do deserve this attention. And I bet next time somebody cuts you off in traffic, you'll be a lot more regulated and have more flow in your day. As we conclude, remember this sense of urgency you might be feeling in your body, it's rooted in hyperproductivity American culture of capitalism. It's okay to take a rest. It's okay to feel that sense of urgency, but question it. Am I really needing to beat the clock? Because sometimes that can help flow. If you've got a boring task in front of you, set a timer, gamify it, see if you can get it done quickly. Sometimes urgency is a tool for good. But most of the time, and most of the catalysts that I mentor, urgency is a tool of destruction. It makes us feel that we aren't worthy, that we're not doing enough, and we tend to abandon ourselves in pursuit of these goals and achievements. So question that. When you feel that sense of urgency in your chest, look at your menu. What can you do to alleviate that? What little nugget can you snack on to give yourself some of that inner peace that you deserve? You don't need better discipline. You just need a framework with more tools that can catalyze these teeny moments into immense impact. Tools that match your energy without fighting it. And when you use these tools, you get back to what matters most, which is creating, evolving, and flourishing with your whole self intact. So I'm going to leave you with this one catalyst question. What's on your flow menu this week, and how can it help you shift from stuck to steady, from overwhelmed to opportunistic, and find that inner peace and glee that we all deserve? Thank you for listening. If this episode inspired you and you can think of somebody else who might be stuck and overwhelmed, please send this to them. This menu has helped so many people regain that flow and joy in their work-life masterpiece. And together we color outside the lines and practice this 6th vital sign of creativity every day. Until next time, keep coloring. Thanks for listening to The Catalyst Way, where we clear the chaos and create space to flourish in medicine and life. If today's episode lit a spark in you, your next step is to go take the Catalyst Archetype quiz. It's fun, free, and freakishly accurate. Go to drlarasalyer.com/create. In less than 5 minutes, you'll uncover your burnout risk, your creative strengths, and work rhythms that energize you. Because it's not about finding a perfect plan, but rather flowing with the one that fits you. Go to drlarasalyer.com/create. And remember, teeny shifts create massive impact. So keep coloring outside those lines.